Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's Wednesday, the 10th of September 2025, and the time here in Brisbane, Australia is 9:22 a.m. I'm going to sneak a quick chapter in because I've been invited out for lunch today by my beautiful friend Lynn Sloan, so I thought I'll just do a bit of a reading before I go off for my next adventure. Oh, Kemi. We're up to chapter 15, The Gathering of the Clouds. Now we will return to Bilbo and the dwarves. All night one of them had watched, and when morning came they had not heard or seen any sign of danger. But ever more thickly the birds were gathering. Their companies came flying from the south, and the crows that still lived about the mountain were wheeling and crying unceasingly above. "Something strange is happening," said Thorin. "The time has gone for the autumn wanderings, and these are birds that dwell always in the land. There are starlings and flocks of finches, and far off there are many carrion birds, as if a battle were afoot." Suddenly Bilbo pointed. "There is that old thrush again," he cried. "He seems to have escaped when Smaug smashed the mountainside, but I don't suppose the snails have." Sure enough, the old thrush was there, and as Bilbo pointed, he flew towards them and perched on a stone nearby. Then he fluttered his wings and sang. Then he cocked his head to one side as if to listen, and again he sang, and again he listened. "I believe he is trying to tell us something," said Balin, "but I cannot follow the speech of such birds. It is very quick and difficult. Can you make it out, Baggins?" "Not very well," said Bilbo. As a matter of fact, he could make nothing of it at all. "But the old fellow seems very excited." "I only wish he was a raven," said Balin. "I thought you did not like them. You seemed very shy of them when we came this way before." "Those were crows, and nasty, suspicious-looking creatures at that, and rude as well. You must have heard the ugly names they were calling after us. But the ravens are different. There used to be great friendship between them and the people of Thrall, and they often brought us secret news and were rewarded with such bright things as they coveted to hide in their dwellings. They live many a year, and their memories are long, and they hand on their wisdom to their children. I knew many among the ravens of the rocks when I was a dwarf lad. This very height was once named Ravenhill because there was a wise and famous pair, old Cark and his wife, who lived here above the guard chamber. But I don't suppose that any of that ancient breed linger here now." No sooner had he finished speaking than the old thrush gave a loud call and immediately flew away. "We may not understand him, but that old bird understands us, I am sure," said Balin. "Keep watch now and see what happens." Before long there was a fluttering of wings, and back came the thrush and with him came a most decrepit old bird. He was getting blind, and he could hardly fly, and the top of his head was bald. He was an aged raven of great size. He alighted on the ground before them, slowly flapped his wings, and bobbed towards Thorin. "O Thorin, son of Thrain, and Balin, son of Fundin," he croaked, and Bilbo could understand what he said, for he used ordinary language and not bird speech. "I am Roark, son of Kak. Kak is dead, but he was well known to you once. It is 100 years and 53 since I came out of the egg, but I do not forget what my father told me. Now I am the chief of the great ravens of the mountain. We are few, but we remember still the king that was of old. Most of my people are abroad, for there are great tidings in the south. Some are tidings of joy to you, and some you will not think so good. Behold, the birds are gathering back again to the mountain and to dale from south and east and west, for word has gone out that Smaug is dead." "Dead? Dead?" shouted the dwarfs. "Dead? Then we have been in needless fear, and the treasure is ours." They all sprang up and began to caper about for joy. "Yes, dead," said Roark. "The thrush, may his feathers never fall, saw him die, and we may trust his words. He saw him fall in battle with the men of Esgaroth, the third night back from now, at the rising of the moon." It was some time before Thorin could bring the dwarfs to be silent and listen to the raven's news. At length, when he had told all the tale of the battle, he went on. "So much for joy, Thorin Oakenshield. You may go back to your halls in safety. All the treasure is yours for the moment. But many are gathering hither beside the birds. The news of the death of the Guardian has already gone far and wide, and the legend of the wealth of Thror has not lost in the telling during many years. Many are eager for a share of the spoil. Already a host of the elves is on the way, and carrion birds are with them, hoping for battle and slaughter." By the lake, men murmur that their sorrows are due to the dwarves, for they are homeless and many have died, and Smaug has destroyed their town. They too think to find amends from your treasure, whether you are alive or dead. Your own wisdom must decide your course, but 13 is small remnant of the great folk of Durin that once dwelt here and now are scattered far. If you will listen to my counsel, you will not trust the master of the lake men, but rather him that shot the dragon with his bow? Bard is he of the race of Dale, of the line of Girion. He is a grim man, but true. We would see peace once more among dwarves and men and elves after the long desolation, but it may cost you dear in gold. I have spoken. Then Thorin burst forth in anger. Our thanks, Roark Carcosa. You and your people shall not be forgotten, but none of our gold shall thieves take, or the violent carry off while we are alive. If you would earn our thanks still more, bring us news of any that draw near. Also, I would beg of you, if any of you are still young and strong of wing, that you would send messengers to our kin in the mountains of the north, both west from here and east, and tell them of our plight. But go specially to my cousin Dain in the Iron Hills, for he has many people well armed and dwells nearest to this place. Bid him hasten. I will not say if this counsel be good or bad, croaked Roark, but I will do what can be done. Then off he slowly flew. Back now to the mountain, cried Thorin. We have little time to lose. And little food to use, cried Bilbo, always practical on such points. In any case, he felt that the adventure was, properly speaking, over with the death of the dragon, in which he was much mistaken, and he would have given most of his share of the profits for the peaceful winding up of these affairs. Back to the mountain, cried the dwarves, as if they had not heard him. So back he had to go with them. Which was annoying when you're hungry and you want your breakfast. Just saying. Hobbits understand these things very well. Not everyone is a fat hobbit like me, though. Never mind. Fat is a feminist issue in my Bodicea armouring. I need to stay well padded to shuck men over my shoulders and wrestle them to the ground if need be. Thankfully, I haven't needed to do that in about 15 years or so since I left that filthy rape den pub. Awful it was. But anyway, I remain solid in my core. Warrior goddesses must never lay down their sword or keep it too far away from them. Just saying. Anyway, where was I? Having a little frenzy, extrapolation, extraneous, correlation, not causation, float among the psychedelic dream. As you have heard some of the events already, you will see that the dwarves still had some days before them. They explored the caverns once more and found, as they expected, that only the front gate remained open. All the other gates, except of course the small secret door, had long ago been broken and blocked by Smaug, and no sign of them remained. So now they began to labour hard in fortifying the main entrance, and in making a new path that led from it. Tools were to be found in plenty that the miners and quarriers and builders of old had used, and at such work the dwarfs were still very skilled. As they worked, the ravens brought them constant tidings. In this way they learned that the elven king had turned aside to the lake, and they still had a breathing space. Better still, they heard that 3 of their ponies had escaped and were wandering far down the banks of the running river, not far from where the rest of their stores had been left. So while the others went on with their work, Feely and Keely were sent, guided by a raven, to find the ponies and bring back all they could. They were 4 days gone, and by that time they knew that the joined armies of the lake men and the elves were hurrying towards the mountain. But now their hopes were higher, for they had food for some weeks with care, chiefly cram, of course, and they were very tired of it. But cram is much better than nothing, and already the gate was blocked with a wall of squared stones laid dry, but very thick and high, across the opening. I hope you're being kind to each other in there, you naughty birds. You, Kermie, you big green bully. Honestly. There were holes in the wall through which they could see or shoot, but no entrance. They climbed in or out with ladders and hauled stuff up with ropes. For the issuing of the stream, they had contrived a small low arch under the new wall, but near the entrance they had so altered the narrow bed that a wide pool stretched from the mountain wall to the head of the fall over which the stream went towards Dale. Approach to the gate was now only possible without swimming across a narrow ledge of the cliff to the right as one looked outwards from the wall. The ponies they had brought only to the head of the steps above the old bridge, and unloading them there had bidden them return to their masters and sent them back riderless to the south. There came a night when suddenly there were many lights as of fires and torches away south in Dale before them. "They have come," called Balin, "and their camp is very great. They must have come into the valley under the cover of dusk along both banks of the river." That night the dwarfs slept little. The morning was still pale when they saw a company approaching. From behind their wall they watched them come up to the valley's head and climb slowly up. Before long they could see that both men of the lake, armed as if for war, and elvish bowmen were among them. At length the foremost of these climbed the tumbled rocks and appeared at the top of the falls. And very great was their surprise to see the pool before them and the gate blocked with a wall of new hewn stone. As they stood pointing and speaking to one another, Thorin hailed them. "Who are you?" he called in a very loud voice. "That come as if in war to the gates of Thorin, son of Thrain, king under the mountain. And what do you desire? But they answered nothing. Some turned swiftly back, and the others, after gazing for a while at the gate and its defences, soon followed them. That day the camp was moved to the east of the river, right between the arms of the mountain. The rocks echoed then with voices and with song, as they had not done for many a day. There was the sound, too, of elven harps and of sweet music. And as it echoed up towards them, it seemed that the chill of the air was warmed, and they caught faintly the fragrance of woodland flowers blossoming in spring. Then Bilbo longed to escape from the dark fortress, and to go down and join in the mirth and feasting by the fires. Some of the younger dwarfs were moved in their hearts too, and they muttered that they wished things had fallen out otherwise, and that they might welcome such folk as friends. But Thorin scowled. Then the dwarves themselves brought forth harps and instruments regained from the hoard, and made music to soften his mood. But their song was not an elvish song, and was much like the song they had sung long before in Bilbo's little hobbit hole. Just have a sip of tea. It's going cold. I dislike cold tea. Unless it's properly, made iced tea, which is a fish of a different kettle. Summer's coming. Put my iced tea sugar in it. Then I won't complain about it being cold. I'll be grateful that it's cold, because it'll be hot, 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 scathing, bloody hot. Queensland, the sunshine state. But it's preferable to freezing your assets off every day in every way, so I shan't complain. And look at the glorious weather we're having. But meanwhile we're waiting on the song from the dwarves. Under the mountain dark and tall, the king has come unto his hall. His foe is dead, the worm of dread, and ever so his foes shall fall. The sword is sharp, the spear is long, the arrow swift, the gate is strong. The heart is bold that looks on gold. The dwarves no more shall suffer wrong. The dwarves of yore made mighty spells, while hammers fell like ringing bells in places deep where dark things sleep, in hollow holes beneath the fells. On silver necklaces they strung, the light of stars on crowns they hung. The dragon fire from twisted wire, the melody of harps they rung. The mountain throne once more is freed. Oh, wandering folk, the summons heed. Come haste, across the waste. the king of friend and kin has need. Now call we over mountains cold, come back unto the caverns old. Here at the gates the king awaits, his hands are rich with gems and gold. The king is come unto his hall, under the mountain dark and tall. The worm of dread is slain and dead, and ever so our foes shall fall. Symbiotically, we could say the same thing about that other worm infesting my fellow Homo sapiens sapiens. Eliminate the spike protein as best as we can, people of Earth. Get that thing out of us. Live our best lives. Be triumphant, wild and free, and take courage. Never ever let the bastards grind us down. Speak your truth, even if at first it comes out only as a whisper or a whimper. Together, united as one humanity across the globe, we can effect great changes and still co-create a beautiful life, gifted and blessed by the gods. Mama T has spoken. Of course, she lives in fantasy world and is inspired by The Hobbit and other ancient mythological lore. But what else have we got going on, people? Let's never give up. We must never give in. Never cede, never yield, never quit. And allow the greatest love of your life, which is your own soul, your own emanation, your own co-creation, your own becoming, to blossom and unfurl. And watch our foes fall before us, those who wished harm to us and were incapable of having real love for us. Feck 'em if they couldn't take a joke. Or words to that effect. Anyway, it's a glorious day. You birdie boys should be outside, but we don't have time to put you outside because Mama's going out. She's going out. But when I come home, it's not too late and the sun is still shining. So I think rain's forecast. Not sure what the forecast is for today. Someone told me rain's coming. It's possible judging by the banks of clouds. But if the day remains beautiful, my birdie boys, I shall put you outside in the garden. But not now. Right now, we're busy. I covered their cages up with that tarp because I expected it to rain during the night. I don't think it did. But I just felt like there was a kind of a shift in the atmosphere, so I thought I better be prepared. Got to be prepared sometimes, but sometimes I overthink and I over-prepare, by the gods. If I didn't have that tarp, I could have quickly whipped them outside for an hour before I went out. It's just too much finagling. It takes too much time to undo everything. And anyway, what can I say? I'm trying my best. Those of you who aren't on my Instagram and my YouTube, I recovered one of the lovely stools on wheels that I got gifted by my friend, and it was had like a bonded leather that had all cracked. So I took a scrap of very nice blue leather that I had. I was going to make it into a bag or something. Nothing ever got done with it. Been lying around, and it was fortunate it fit the circle of the top of the stool. So I spent 5 hours yesterday. My hands are really sore with a curved upholstery needle, stitching the new leather back onto the chair. And I hope it holds together because it looks lovely. It's not very professional because I'm not really an upholsterer, but I got it to fit, and that was half the battle. I didn't think at one point it was going to even stretch across, so I thought I'd miscalculated when I cut out the circle. But anyway, it's turned out remarkably well, apart from a few little, it's not perfectly smooth is what I'm saying. Anyway, I sat on it very briefly last night, thought, that will do, Chook, that will do. Working so hard to renovate things. I finished renovating the lovely spinning wheel, and now yesterday's effort was that stool, and I think tomorrow I might start practicing spinning on my newly renovated wheel, because after all that was the point of that exercise. It's a big job. I'm eager to know if it actually spins okay and if I can improve, because I was just getting the hang of it on my last wheel that I bought at Reverse Garbage when the whole bracket kept falling off and I couldn't get it to operate properly, and so made a hash of some very lovely fleece, by the way, that Belinda Daniel had given me. It was lovely fleece. It came from Scotland. Even just sort of threading it through my fingers was lovely. But anyway, it gave me a feel for what spinning is like, and got the general idea now. Now I just have to practice until I gain mastery, like everything in life. Where were we? 9:53 a.m. I'll have to get on with this chapter because I've got an outing to look forward to. People bird. I'm quite tired, by the way, because yesterday was huge. Sewing on that leather onto that stool. It was a huge effort. But anyway, I'm achieving all sorts of things in the last 5 years, because I don't want to give those evil genocidal monsters excuse to say that I'm a useless eater. I am a fresser par excellence, because I like my tucker, because I'm a hobbit. But I am not useless, and anyone who dares to tell me that I'm useless deserves to die. Just saying. I've learnt many new skills in the last 5 years. I've even fallen in and out of love with feckless false monstrosity. I've been on quite a journey in the last few years. Still ouching from that one because that was sadistic and weird. Really odd. Odd. But everyone saw the odd behaviour, so it wasn't just me that bore witness to that. So Mama T gets to sit on her high horse in her own righteousness, feeling pretty and looking forward to a real man coming into my life who might actually want to be in a relationship with me, actually genuinely fucking care, at the very least like me, by the gods. Anyway, this song appeared to please Thorin, and he smiled again and grew merry, and he began reckoning the distance to the Iron Hills, and how long it would be before Dain would reach the lonely mountain, if he had set out as soon as the message reached him. But Bilbo's heart fell, both at the song and the talk. They sounded much too warlike. The next morning early, a company of spearmen was seen crossing the river and marching up the valley. They bore with them the green banner of the elven king and the blue banner of the lake. And they advanced until they stood right before the wall at the gate. Again Thorin hailed them in a loud voice. Who are you that come armed for war to the gates of Thorin, son of Thrain, king under the mountain? This time he was answered. A tall man stood forward, dark of hair and grim of face. And he cried, Hail, Thorin! Why do you fence yourself like a robber in his hold? Excuse me. That's wrong all of a sudden. Right. Water to my eyes. Choking on nothing but air. Air, people of Earth. Air. Well, we are not yet foes. And we rejoice that you are alive beyond our hope. We came expecting to find none living here, yet now that we are met, there is matter for a parley and a council. Who are you, and of what would you parley? I am Bard, and by my hand was the dragon slain, and your treasure delivered. Is that not a matter that concerns you? Moreover, I am by right descent the heir of Girion of Dale, and in your hoard is mingled much of the wealth of his halls and tower, which of old Smaug stole. Is not that a matter of which we may speak? Further, in his last battle, Smaug destroyed the dwellings of the men of Esgaroth, and I am yet the servant of their master. I would speak for him and ask whether you have no thought for the sorrow and misery of his people. They aided you in your distress, and in recompense you have thus far brought ruin only, though doubtless undesigned. Now these were fair words and true, if proudly and grimly spoken, and Bilbo thought that Thorin would at once admit what justice was in them. He did not, of course, expect that any one would remember that it was he who discovered, all by himself, the dragon's weak spot, and that was just as well, for no one ever did. But also he did not reckon with the power that gold has upon a dragon, upon which a dragon has long brooded, nor with dwarvish hearts. Gold can do things to a person. Long hours in the past days Thorin had spent in the treasury, and the lust of it was heavy on him. Though he had hunted chiefly for the Arkenstone, yet he had an eye for many another wonderful thing that was lying there, about which were wound old memories of the labours and the sorrows of his race. You put your worst cause last, and in the chief place, Thorin answered. To the treasure of my people no man has a claim, because Smaug, who stole it from us, also robbed him of life or home. The treasure was not his, that his evil deeds should be amended with a share of it. The price of the goods and the assistance that we received of the lake men, we will fairly pay in due time. But nothing will we give, not even a loaf's worth, under threat of force, while an armed host lies before our doors. We look on you as foes and thieves. It is, in my mind, to ask what share of their inheritance you would have paid to our kindred, had you found the hoard unguarded and us slain. A just question, replied Bard, but you are not dead, and we are not robbers. Moreover, the wealthy may have pity beyond right on the needy that befriended them when they were in want, and still my other claims remain unanswered. I will not parley, as I have said, with armed men at my gate, not at all with the people, nor at all with the people of the Elven King, whom I remember with small kindness. In this debate they have no place. Begone now ere our arrows fly, and if you would speak with me again, first dismiss the elvish host to the woods where it belongs, and then return, laying down your arms before you approach the threshold. The Elven King is my friend, and he has succoured the people of the lake in their need, though they had no claim but friendship on him, answered Bard. We will give you time to repent your words. Gather your wisdom ere we return. Then he departed and went back to the camp. Ere many hours were past, the banner bearers returned, and trumpeters stood forth and blew a blast. In the name of Esgaroth and the forest, one cried, we speak unto Thorin, Thrain's son, Oakenshield, calling himself the king under the mountain, and we bid him consider well the claims that have been urged, or be declared our foe. At the least, he shall deliver 1/12 portion of the treasure unto Bard as the dragon slayer and as the heir of Girion. From that portion, Bard will himself contribute to the aid of Esgaroth, but if Thorin would have the friendship and honour of the lands about, as his sires had of old, then he will give also somewhat of his own for the comfort of the men of the lake. Then Thorin seized a bow of horn and shot an arrow at the speaker. It smote into his shield and stuck there, quivering. "Since such is your answer," he called in return, "I declare the mountain besieged. You shall not depart from it until you call on your side for a truce and a parley. We will bear no weapons against you, but we leave you to your gold. You may eat that, if you will." With that the messengers departed swiftly, and the dwarves were left to consider their case. So grim had Thorin become that even if they had wished, the others would not have dared to find fault with him. But indeed, most of them seemed to share his mind, except perhaps old fat Bombor and Fili and Kili. Bilbo, of course, disapproved of the whole turn of affairs. He had by now had more than enough of the mountain, and being besieged inside it was not at all to his taste. "The whole place still stinks of dragon," he grumbled to himself, "and it makes me sick, and Cran is beginning simply to stick in my throat." There you have it, people. I think I might just have time to sneak in one more chapter. So we continue on with chapter 16, A Thief in the Night. Now the days passed slowly and wearily. Many of the dwarves spent their time piling and ordering the treasure, and now Thorin spoke of the Arkenstone of Thrain, and bade them eagerly to look for it in every corner. "For the Arkenstone of my father," he said, "is worth more than a river of gold in itself, and to me it is beyond price. That stone of all the treasure I name unto myself, and I will be avenged on anyone who finds it and withholds it." Bilbo heard these words and grew afraid, wondering what would happen if the stone was found wrapped in an old bundle of tattered oddments that he used as a pillow. All the same, he did not speak of it, for as the weariness of the days grew heavier, the beginnings of a plan had come into his little head. But things had gone on like this for some time, when the ravens brought news that Dain and more than 500 dwarves, hurrying from the Iron Hills, were now within about 2 days' march of Dale, coming from the northeast. "But they cannot reach the mountain unmarked," said O'Rourke, "and I fear lest there be battle in the valley. I do not call this counsel good, although they are a grim folk. They are not likely to overcome the host that besets you, and even if they did so, what will you gain? Winter and snow is hastening behind them. How shall you be fed without the friendship and goodwill of the lands about you? The treasure is likely to be your death, although the dragon is no more. But Thorin was not moved. Winter and snow will bite both men and elves, he said, and they may find their dwelling in the waste grievous to bear. With my friends behind them and winter upon them, they will perhaps be in a softer mood to parley with. That night Bilbo made up his mind. The sky was black and moonless. As soon as it was full dark, he went to a corner of an inner chamber just within the gate and drew from his bundle a rope and also the Arkenstone wrapped in a rag. Then he climbed to the top of the wall. Only Bombur was there, for it was his turn to watch, and the dwarves kept only one watchman at a time. "It is mighty cold," said Bombur. "I wish we could have a fire up here as they have in the camp." "It is warm enough inside," said Bilbo. "I dare say, but I am bound here till midnight," grumbled the fat dwarf. "A sorry business altogether. Not that I venture to disagree with Thorin, may his beard grow ever longer. Yet he was ever a dwarf with a stiff neck." "Not as stiff as my legs," said Bilbo. "I am tired of stairs and stone passages. I would give a good deal for the feel of grass at my toes." "I would give a good deal for the feel of a strong drink in my throat, and for a soft bed after a good supper." "I can't give you those while the siege is going on, but it is long since I watched, and I will take your turn for you if you like. There is no sleep in me tonight." "You are a good fellow, Mr. Baggins, and I will take your offer kindly. If there should be anything to note, arouse me first, mind you. I will lie in the inner chamber to the left, not far away." "Off you go," said Bilbo. "I will wake you at midnight, and you can wake the next watchman." As soon as Bombur had gone, Bilbo put on his ring, fastened his rope, slipped down over the wall, and was gone. He had about 5 hours before him. Bombur would sleep. He could sleep at any time, and ever since the adventure in the forest, he was always trying to recapture the beautiful dreams he had then. And all the others were busy with Thorin. It was unlikely that any, even Fili and Kili, would come out on the wall until it was their turn. It was very dark, and the road after a while, when he left the newly made path and climbed down towards the lower course of the stream, was strange to him. At last he came to the bend where he had to cross the water if he was to make for the camp as he wished. The bed of the stream was there shallow but already broad, and fording it in the dark was not easy for the little hobbit. He was nearly across when he missed his footing on a round stone and fell into the cold water with a splash. He had barely scrambled out on the far bank, shivering and sputtering. Who is he? I can't see him. Oh, there he is. Shivering and spluttering, when up came elves in the gloom with bright lanterns and searched for the cause of the noise. That was no fish, one said. There is a spy about. Hide your lights. They will help him more than us, if it is that queer little creature that is said to be their servant. Servant indeed, snorted Bilbo, and in the middle of his snort he sneezed loudly, and the elves immediately gathered towards the sound. Let's have a light, he said. I am here if you want me. And he slipped off his ring and popped from behind a rock. They seized him quickly in spite of their surprise. Who are you? Are you the dwarf's hobbit? What are you doing? How did you get so far past our sentinels? They asked, one after another. I am Mr. Bilbo Baggins, he answered. Companion of Thorin, if you want to know. I know your king well by sight, though perhaps he doesn't know me to look at. But Bard will remember me, and it is Bard I particularly want to see. Indeed, said they, and what may be your business? Whatever it is, it's my own, my good elves. But if you wish ever to get back to your own woods from this cold, cheerless place, he answered, shivering, you will take me along quick to a fire where I can dry, and then you will let me speak to your chiefs as quick as may be. I have only an hour or two to spare. That is how it came about that some 2 hours after his escape from the gate, Bilbo was sitting beside a warm fire in front of a large tent, and there sat two, gazing curiously at him, both the Elven King and Bard. A hobbit in elvish armour, partly wrapped in an old blanket, was something new to them. Really, you know, Bilbo was saying in his best business manner, things are impossible. Personally, I'm tired of the whole affair. I wish I was back in the West, in my own home, where folk are more reasonable. But I have an interest in this matter. 1/14 share, to be precise, according to a letter which, fortunately, I believe I have kept. He drew from a pocket in his old jacket, which he still wore over his mail, crumpled and much folded, Thorin's letter that had been put under the clock on his mantelpiece in May. A share in the profits, mind you, he went on. I am aware of that. Personally, I am only too ready to consider all your claims carefully and deduct what is right from the total before putting in my own claim. However, you don't know Thorin Oakenshield as well as I do now. I assure you, he is quite ready to sit on a heap of gold and starve as long as you sit here. Well, let him, said Bard. Such a fool deserves to starve. Quite so, said Bilbo. I see your point of view. At the same time, winter is coming on fast. Before long you will be having snow and what not, and supplies will be difficult, even for elves, I imagine. Also, there will be other difficulties. You have not heard of Dain and the dwarves of the Iron Hills? We have, a long time ago. But what has he got to do with us? Asked the king. I thought as much. I see I have some information you have not got. Dain, I may tell you, is now less than 2 days' march off and has at least 500 grim dwarves with him. A good many of them have had experience in the dreadful dwarf and goblin wars, of which you have no doubt heard. When they arrive, there may be serious trouble. Why do you tell us this? Are you betraying your friends, or are you threatening us? Asked Bard grimly. My dear Bard, squeaked Bilbo, don't be so hasty. I never met such suspicious folk. I am merely trying to avoid trouble for all concerned, and now I will make you an offer. Let us hear it, they said. You may see it, said he. It is this. And he drew forth the Arkenstone and threw away the wrapping. Mamatee's a bit horrified. That was a very chutzpahdik, audacious thing to do. Not the Arkenstone, Bilbo, by the goddess. I need to take a moment. The elven king himself, whose eyes were used to things of wonder and beauty, stood up in amazement. Even Bard gazed, marvelling at it, in silence. It was as if a globe had been filled with moonlight and hung before them in a net woven of the glint of frosty stars. This is the Arkenstone of Thrain, said Bilbo, the heart of the mountain, and it is also the heart of Thorin. He values it above a river of gold. I give it to you. It will aid you in your bargaining. Then Bilbo, not without a shudder, not without a glance of longing, handed the marvellous stone to Bard, and he held it in his hand as though dazed. But how is it yours to give? He asked at last, with an effort. Oh, well, said the hobbit uncomfortably. It isn't exactly, but, well, I'm willing to let it stand against all my claim, don't you know? I may be a burglar, or so they say. Personally, I never really felt like one, but I am an honest one, I hope. More or less. Anyway, I am going back now, and the dwarves can do what they like to me. I hope you will find it useful. The Elven King looked at Bilbo with a new wonder. "Bilbo Baggins," he said, "you are more worthy to wear the armour of elf princes than many that have looked more comely in it. But I wonder if a Thorin Oakenshield will see it so. I have more knowledge of dwarves in general than you have, perhaps. I advise you to remain with us, and here you shall be honoured and thrice welcome." "Thank you very much, I am sure," said Bilbo with a bow, "but I don't think I ought to leave my friends like this, after all we have gone through together. And I promise to wake old Bombor at midnight too. Really I must be going, and quickly." Nothing they could say would stop him, so an escort was provided for him, and as he went, both the king and the bard saluted him with honour. As they passed through the camp, an old man, wrapped in a dark cloak, rose from a tent door where he was sitting and came towards them. "Well done, Mr. Baggins," he said, clapping Bilbo on the back. "There is always more about you than anyone expects." It was Gandalf. For the first time for many a day, Bilbo was really delighted. But there was no time for all the questions that he immediately wished to ask. "All in good time," said Gandalf. "Things are drawing towards the end now, unless I am mistaken. There is an unpleasant time just in front of you, but keep your heart up. You may come through all right. There is news brewing that even the ravens have not heard. Good night." Puzzled but cheered, Bilbo hurried on. He was guided to a safe ford and set across dry, and then he said farewell to the elves and climbed carefully back towards the gate. Great weariness began to come over him, but it was well before midnight when he clambered up the rope again. It was still where he had left it. He untied it and hid it, and then he sat down on the wall and wondered anxiously what would happen next. At midnight he woke up Bombor, and then in turn rolled himself up in his corner without listening to the old dwarf's thanks, which he felt he had hardly earned. He was soon fast asleep, forgetting all his worries, pardon me, till the morning. As a matter of fact, he was dreaming of eggs and bacon. Right, shall continue either later today or perhaps tomorrow. See how the day plays out. We only have 3 very short chapters to go to reach completion of this wonderful tale, and wherever you are in the space-time continuum, be you human or elf or hobbit or dwarf or other magical folk, all sentient beings and all interdimensional beings of love, light, truth and holiness, I greet you and I honour you And I call upon you to align with us here on planet Earth and gift us safety and peace, prosperity and abundance, and truest, greatest loves, and joy and delight. And have a wonderful day, people of Earth. Blessed be.